We live in a world that's just so noisy, right? It feels like everyone is shouting to get noticed. But it makes you wonder, how does anything real actually get built in all that chaos? Well, today we're going to dig into two totally different ways to get things done. We're talking about the path of the loud announcement versus the path of quiet, focused construction.
So it really comes down to two kinds of people, two archetypes. On one side, you've got the announcer. This is the person who talks a big game, right? They're always looking for applause, and their focus is on what people think. Then, on the other side, you have the builder. They're quiet, they're just seeking progress, and they let the results do all the talking. It's a huge difference in what gets them out of bed in the morning.
All right, let's dive into that first path, the announcer's way. I mean, what makes it so tempting? Because it really is. It all comes down to the allure of applause. Let's get into why this approach is just so common.
So the announcer is basically fueled by validation from other people. It's this constant hunt for that pat on the back, that yes from the outside world that tells you you're on the right track. And what happens is the recognition for the work can start to feel more important than the work itself.
And that naturally leads to this need to broadcast everything. It's all about telling people what you're gonna do. You know the type. The real thrill for them comes from the big announcement, not so much from the long, grinding process of, well, actually doing it.
And how do you measure success in this world? It's all about likes, shares, comments, that fleeting digital applause. That becomes your scoreboard for progress. The crazy part is, it's a scoreboard that's always changing, and worse, it's completely controlled by what other people think at that exact moment.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Do little and talk big. That's the ultimate trap of the announcer's path. You can end up with a whole lot of talk and not much to show for it, building a whole career on noise instead of actual solid substance.
Okay, but there's another way to go about it. Let's switch gears and talk about the builder's path. This one operates on a completely different set of rules. Rules that are all about the power of just doing the work, quietly.
Yeah, at the heart of the builder's mindset is this concept of silent achievement. And look, this isn't just about being shy or avoiding the spotlight. It's about growing this deep internal drive, this persistence that just doesn't need an audience to function. The motivation comes from within, It has nothing to do with who's watching or clapping.
So what does the builder's process actually look like? Well, it's pretty methodical. It all starts with a vision, but it's an internal one, not some big public announcement. Then comes the really important part, the part nobody sees, just doing the work, getting your hands dirty. After that, it's about constantly refining your craft, always getting a little bit better. And finally, you don't shout about the results. You just let them emerge. You let them speak for themselves.
You see, for the builder, the real reward, the real satisfaction, comes from the process. It's that feeling of mastering a skill, of cracking a tough problem, of seeing real, tangible progress being made. If praise comes, that's great, but it's just a bonus. It's never the main goal.
So what happens when these two paths collide with reality? Because eventually, they always do. There comes a reckoning, a moment when results are the only thing that matters. And that's when the difference between all that noise and real substance becomes, well, crystal clear.
And this chart really shows you what I'm talking about when it comes to long-term impact. Look, opinions can get you a quick spike of attention, right? A little temporary buzz. But actual, tangible results, they create value that lasts. They build a solid foundation that doesn't just stick around. It actually gets stronger over time, long after all that initial chatter is gone.
And this really gets to the heart of it. It's a fundamental truth. Results will speak louder than opinions. In the long run, what you've actually built is always going to be more powerful than what you just said you were going to build. Real outcomes have a weight, a credibility that talk just can't compete with.
So this all brings the lesson right back to us, to you and me. It's about a choice we have to make every single day. Where are we putting our focus? Where is our attention, our power really going? And maybe the real takeaway here is that we need to redefine what success even means. It's about shifting our focus, moving away from trying to be the loudest person in the room, and toward creating the most real, meaningful impact we can. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Just think about it for a second. All that energy that goes into performing for others, into broadcasting your plans, into chasing validation, just imagine if you took all of that energy and channeled it into quiet, focused work. What could you really achieve then? What could you build?